Hey all, Sir Penguin here, and we are looking at a 2v2 at the top level on Dry Arabia. Starting off on the top side for Team 1, we have Wam01 in the teal playing the Malians. Below him on Team 1 as well, in the orange playing as China, we've got Corvinus1, formerly known as Salami. He's going to be opening with your standard China build. Across from them on Team 2, Big Man John is going to be playing in the blue on England. And above Big Man John, in the green, we've got Jiglyturd, which I believe is an alt account for Jigglypuff, one of the top tier team players who plays with Team Devils. Alrighty, so jumping into this game here, I am so excited to cast some 2v2s. I think there are not enough 2v2 casts, not enough team casts, and I'm really excited for us to get into some team games here. This is kind of a treat because we've had Corvinus, Wham, and the Mista playing some top tier team games. We'll open with the standard 6 houses for Mali. Dropping off his sheep here. I think it's kind of an interesting matchup because Mali is going to want to get that castle age, where China wants to go, real greedy. They want to get their TCs, maybe Song Dynasty. It's possible we see Jukanu Javelin Thrower with some Dansos as a push, but I'm not sure exactly what direction our players are going to go with here. I'm excited to see how we get some synergy between Malians and China, because I'm not too familiar with how this matchup is going to work. On the other side, England and HRE are a fairly standard pairing on the team ladder. We're going to see a lot of longbows. We're going to see a lot of men-at-arms. Probably see some knights out of the HRE. A couple TCs, a few TCs here and there. And we'll just see how aggressive England wants to play it here and how aggressive or how fast Jiglyturd is going to want to go up to the castle age. We see the Aachen getting dropped for Jiglyturd. Down below him on England, we do have the Abbey of Kings, so we're going to get some king gameplay. Not so much the early longbows, but we'll have an early knight out for England, putting on some pressure. Looks like we have Mansa Quarry going up for Wam01, and down below him, Corvinus is going up with the Barbican, and I'm sure we will see the Song Dynasty Imperial Academy any second here as he moves up with the food and the gold for that. Looking at this game, I am really curious how Wham and Corvinus play this together. I think they both have really interesting styles. I'm curious to see how they blend together as players too. Here we're taking a ton of wood for the Malians, so we're gonna see a lot of buildings, I think. A lot of production coming out for the Mali player. Probably high pressure against the HRE. We have alarms going off. I think a scout here just getting poked at. Abbey of Kings comes up. The king immediately dropped for Big Man John. Big Man John's gonna put on some pressure. We have a bunch of wood coming out, so there will be longbows behind the king here. Across from him, Jiglyturd just macroing up, just going for that fast castle. The tower dropping onto the gold. Very standard HRE opening here. Gonna get fast castle. Probably gonna go for the regnants, grab those relics, get all that gold, and challenge the passive income of the player across from him, who already has that fully saturated pit mine. Still gathering a ton of wood to get the pit mine, to get all that stuff up. What is Wham going to do with all this wood? We shall see. Corvinus going for some protective walls that'll give him access to the stone, prevent raids from the king and other units. Ooh. Scout sees the tower on the gold. It's pretty obvious what the HRE is going to be running anyway, but I think that just confirms everything that Wam was already suspecting. Here comes the king. The king's going to try to get some raids here on the Mali villagers, chasing down that villager. He'll pick that up for sure. So Wam will lose that villager. He does buy some time by sending the villager away from the base. Do we have a barracks up yet for Wam? We do not. He's cow booming. That king gonna start burning away at the houses here. Just putting on a little bit of that pressure, making Wam feel the pressure, forcing some units out. He's coming around. And he'll pull out. Nope. Turns back. He tricked me there. He tricked me just as much as he would have tricked another player. It does a little switcheroo there. And he's going to find the gold on the back. This is going to be not so good. Here's the pressure coming. Gonna lose this villager if it's spotted. Yeah, definitely spotted. We have the scout. There goes another second villager down for Wam against this early king play. Donzo's coming out of the barracks. And there goes our second villager to the king. Across there. We're scouting the food. Looks like lots of food coming in for England. Fairly fast castle on the back of this night harass, perhaps? No. Looks like we're going to get a ton of longbows behind this king. It's all about the pressure. Putting pressure onto China, putting pressure onto Mali, not letting them get their builds all set up. I'm excited to see where this game is going. And Jiglyturd does go for the Castle Age with the Regnitz Cathedral. He's going to grab relics, get that extra boost that the Regnitz Cathedral gives in gold. Prelate's already coming out. Unsurprising. We don't see any production buildings yet. We might see a stable or barracks. Here comes the first relic from the Prelates. More Prelates moving out. Up here, King putting pressure onto Corvinus here on the left side. That gun on the Chinese TC is not going to let him in. He'll try his darndest, but it's just not happening. He's just going to... Corvinus is going to do the dance. A little more dancing with the Vills. He doesn't catch it. Oh, but he's going to have to pull back. Big man John pulling that king back. What do we have here? Longbows moving out. These longbows seem to be headed toward Mali's base, and coming from the other side, Mali Donso's trying to stop the pressure on the prelates. Looks like we have a nice little combo here where the longbows and the king are going to put enough pressure on so Jigglypuff here, can grab his relics and pull back into the base. We do have knights coming out now for Jiglyturd. Those knights are going to provide a lot of pressure. Donzo should be able to shut it down. But we'll see. Wam not necessarily going up to castle. No castle ages yet coming out for our other players. Just Jigglypuff here. And things have slowed down a little bit. Reveals where the prelate's going with the sacred. No, he's going to take the sacred site. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised. I would expect him to go for the relics, but maybe he doesn't see those relics to the left. No, he sees them. I'm pretty sure he sees those. Maybe not. Up here, fight going off. King trying to pressure more of this Mali stuff, but the Donzos and the javelin throwers are going to push it back. He's going to run. He's going to get away from here. He takes a little bit of javelin damage, but since he is the English king, he's going to be able to heal up. And we have an early ram push. It's going to be supported by the HRE knights here. It's going to be tough to defend for Wam with Donzo Spear. The javelin throwers, however, should be able to shut down the longbows. I think England does struggle against our Malian players. We'll see how this goes. Taking another sacred site in the middle. That push is coming. We'll keep an eye on it. Make sure we catch it as it goes in. Do we have any units coming out for Corvinus before this push? Corvinus has gone 3 TC, fully greedy with the walls, Barbican guarding the bottom side, a couple of Juganu coming out now. This push is on the way, double ram, knight, longbow, king supporting with the heal, and kings can heal teammates. So if these knights take any damage, they can just pull back, use the healing of the king, and they'll be good to go. Danso's scaring away those rams, but the fight is coming here. Big push coming onto Wam's base. Let's go to cinematic mode. He's gonna interrupt the cow boom with those rams. A couple cows going down. He'll be able to gather those because they're close to the TC, and they're not gonna block any buildings. That was actually quite smart by Wam there. Make sure he doesn't block his cow boom from with the corpses of the cows, with the bodies. He's gonna use the Danso Jav to hold back this push, but this is a lot of stuff to hold. And these knights coming in onto the javelin throwers, doing a ton of damage. Javelin thrower is still putting on the pressure of the longbows. He's just letting them take this. Here comes the Juganu from Corvinus. Let's go ahead, see what's going on here. Eco, fairly even between the teams here. Let's look at this income as they're fighting it. The longbows get pushed back by the mix of Juganu and javelin throwers. Knights going down to the high damage of the javelin throwers as well. Juganu going down in the front as the knights clean that up with the king. Wam now looking at defending with 4, 5 javelin throwers against what's left here. 6 coming out now. And there's more longbows coming and more knights coming across the map. This is going to be a bit of an all-in here in the early game. Wam going to have to hold on for dear life. But Corvinus with the 3 TC, you can see his income skyrocketing on his side. Going to be a ton of Juganu coming out across. Is there any interruption here? No interruption, so the fight's still going on. The TC is in danger. 15 vills idled inside. More idols on the top side. Javelin throwers holding against this knight longbow push. This is a really effective push. I think if this wasn't Corvinus and Wam, it would kill you. Maybe if it was other pro players or top team players, but the villagers taking out a knight here on the top. They're gonna come in and fight this themselves, take out the rams so the cow boom can continue. Juganu cleaning up longbows on the top, the villagers taking out the rams, preventing too much more damage, and we have the TC cleaning up those knights. Here comes Corvinus and Wam with the villager pull. All of the pastures have gone down on the front. The cow boom has been interrupted, but look at all this food sitting on the front. Wam can just gather this with his vills. He's cow booming again on the back. We do have 3 sacred sites taken in the middle. We don't have the sacred site timer that we get in 1v1s, but those sacred sites have been ticking away for a little while now. Wam and Corvinus gonna have to start thinking about this, though we have a ton more Juganu, more reinforcement Juganu coming. Spears now to help with the knights. Danso's no longer coming out for Wam. Wam macroing up, catching up, getting that cow boom going. Clearing this space of the cows so he can go for that Fulani Corral here. Let's see what the other 2 are up to. 3 relics at least for Jigglypuff, maybe more. He does have the other monastery up, but I don't see more. Corvinus receiving gold from Wam. Wam sacrificing his gold, sacrificing his resources, so Corvinus can get what he needs for combat. Oh, and we have longbows coming into Wam's base while all the Juganu are up on Corvinus's base, while all the Juganu are up on Wam's. Knights going to interrupt the Juganu. I think the Juganu can kind of do some damage to these knights here, but this is a lot of HRE knights. They have high armor. Good pierce armor for these Juganu shots. The Juganu are only doing 1 damage a pop, 3 damage every volley to these knights. The knights pull back. Longbows pull back as well. They don't want to hang out under that Barbican, but we do have rams coming up for the longbows. I'm excited to see this push as well. It looks like they are not letting up now. Big John pulling back his stuff just a little bit so he doesn't get spotted by the Jiganu. Tower coming up to get that network of castles buff on his units and get some vision between the players. More gold sent to Wam from Corvinus. Wam is going to use this to get up to Castle Age. Do we see stables coming up for Wam? Is he going to get those sofa? No, it's looking like barracks. Will he go Musafati or what are we looking at? We'll see what Wam decides to do here. He is gathering up some wood. Maybe he'll drop some new production down. We have knights burning through the gate. They're going to try to raid Wam's base over here on the right. He gets that gate down. Gonna find the market. Wam's using that to buy his way up to Castle Age. He clicks up. What does he click up with? Obviously, the Fulani Corral. He's been going for that cow boom for a while now. 15-minute click up. China still hanging out in feudal, as they're wont to do with their Jiganu. Are we going to see this push on this side? Longbows gathering up. Tower coming up now. What is Corvinus up to? He's got a big mass of the Jiganu spear. This is tough to break into, even for England, where longbows are pretty effective against the Jiganu. But at a certain point, you know, you're 40 Jiganu up against... how many longbows do we have here? Only 25 longbows. At this point, the Jiganu, despite their slower speed, can push into the kiting longbows. Down at the bottom, we're getting walls on that sacred site. Going to secure that. Bit of a raid from the king, distracting the army. They're going to chase it down. Do they get... Oh, that TC might take him down. What's his armor at? He does have quite good armor. He's going to find the farm boom coming out for Corvinus. Big, long feudal, lots of greed, just taking everything he can. 3 TC, all the stuff, and he's just gonna keep chasing that with all his units. Okay, no longer overcommitting. He keeps the spears here. The Jiganu are gonna head back to the front. Is the push coming? Knights up on the top. We have Donsos looking to catch them. These knights are sitting on 2 Castle Age upgrades. Will they see more? Or is that... No, we don't have the mine work. 2 Castle Age upgrades for the knights. Attack and pierce resistance. Good for fighting the Jiganu. Not so good for fighting the Donsos. And we have the Astronomical Clock Tower coming up now for Corvinus. We've got Jiglyturd going into a... Imperial Age. What did he go up with? Probably the Swabia. Let's check that out in just a second as we're getting a fight here in the middle. Elite knight upgrades now. Those knights have a ton of health, a ton of armor, and 29 base attack. They're going to come in. They're going to put so much pressure on. But the feudal Jiganu going to get their castle upgrades shortly, I should think. Going to fight this longbow knight mass. Imperial Knights out of HRE. They're gonna hold. There's so much greed coming here for Corvinus that if they hold, I think there's good value here for Team 1. Team 2 getting to put some damage on, but I don't think it's gonna be enough right now to do any damage to the ecos of these players. Wam getting some nice value with the javelin throwers. Good micro on the Donsos and the spears to stop the knights from pushing into this archer mass. That raid is going into the villager line, the wood line of Corvinus. How many vills? He keeps going. Let's look at the longbow fight. It looks like the longbows are getting pushed back, cleaned up. Let's turn back to the raid here, coming onto the farms. Spears just gonna chase that, and he starts getting onto the vills. Are we gonna see some idle? We might see some idle here on the farms as Corvinus needs to react before he loses a bunch of his food income. More villagers going down. These Donso spears not going to be able to catch this. We don't have walls on this side, so Knight's going to have free reign in the meantime, and they're going to scare that away for now. Meanwhile, down here, the longbows have avoided losses, have managed to push back the Jiganu javelin thrower mass, and now they're just trying to pinch off these knights. Gonna take them down with the high damage of the javelin throwers. Still effective against these Imperial elite knights. What's going on down here? As they try to go for the sacred site, just a sofa gets cleaned up by the knights down there. Bit of a quick transition. Gonna keep chasing the knights. Anything going on the front? No, we have nothing going on the front. Still waiting. Although, I say that, but here comes more Jugunu coming to fight the longbows. Who has the upper hand here? I think the longbows should. With their veteran upgrades, they are faster than the Jugunu. They're gonna be able to kite this out. But every time the Jugunu land a shot, they're taking out like 3-4 longbows at once. Here comes the knights to clean up this Jugunu. The longbow's gonna take it with the knight support. More villagers coming on the bottom, trying to get this orange wall up on the back of the blue stone or wood. We have 3 TCs. Corvinus says, whatever, I don't care. I sacrifice these vills for stone walls. We don't have too much siege out of the players, so they're going to sacrifice a bunch of these vills. They do pull back, but the whole left side now walled for Corvinus. As we were just discussing, these longbows gonna get cleaned up as the castle comes up here, I think. Up top, Sofa fighting the knights. Looks like they've cleaned that up. Excuse me. Down here, longbows. Up against the Jugunu, a bit of a raid. They're gonna get cleaned up pretty easily, and we're gonna come back to the middle where these knights now trading again with some more Jugunu, but this castle, this keep, going to keep the one sacred site safe. I bet this was close. We're not gonna have that sacred site timer, but Orange Corvinus manages to take this for China, manages to hold. We're getting more keeps here along the bottom. This is gonna cover this area for a while. England is not gonna be able to push this until they get rams or trebs. Up in the middle, knights going up against the Dansos. Once again, we have elite knights coming into Castle Age. Danso javelin thrower. Wham doesn't have a choice but to keep making units here to stay alive. He's gonna try to interrupt this keep, but it goes up. 6 villagers finishing that guy. There's a lot of Mali in here, though. Mali and Castle Age able to produce so many units with all that passive income. Knights looking to get back in here, do some damage, dish it out, but looks like Wham's gonna fall back. Wham doesn't want to stick around, sit under this keep, and lose his units. Over on the left side, Jugunu going up with the spears against longbows, pushing back England, but England is swinging their units up to the north side. This Culverin wandering a little far. Doesn't look like they see it just yet. Another fight coming in between the Sofa and the Knights. Here on the pit mine that's expanded, this forward pit mine is going to be really tough for Wham to defend. He catches this. Sofa against the elite Imperial Knights. Knights are going to win this every time for now. Though the Sofa have high armor. They're going to be there sitting with their upgrades, their shields. And Wham's going to push this back with the Danso Javelin push. Wham also getting ready to go into that Imperial Age, get back into this game in terms of tech, and manages to push back the HRE player once again. Big fight coming in the middle. He catches that Culverin we mentioned earlier. Culverin goes down. Jugunu going up against the longbows, fighting Nest of Bees, Spear, Jugunu. The longbows falling back, fight back up to the top. Engagement between the Dansos and the Knights. Let's see who takes this. The Dansos are going to clean this up just by virtue of being spears. More reinforcements on the way. We have reinforcements for Jigglypuff on the bottom. Lots of Knights coming out to fight this. Coming across here, England to support the HRE. What are we going to see here? Is this a push into Wham's base? I don't think we have enough for a push just yet. We've lost the Culverin. We're expecting more siege out of China. We saw the Nest of Bees already engaging with those longbows. Imperial coming out for Corvinus and Wham. The greed paying off here. Knights looking to get in here. This stone wall gonna cause issues, but the Knights, the fast wall coming up for Corvinus. He keeps them out again and again, but here comes the Knights. Just enough time, though, for the spears to stand in the way. Spears pushing back those Knights. The Knights now going into Wham's base. We have raids all over the place. I'm going to stick with this just for a second to see if any damage comes down for these HRE Knights. It looks like Wham and Corvinus are going to be able to push this out before they do too much damage to Wham's eco here. On the other side, a Sofa doing some damage to the wood line. It's going to get cleaned up by those Knights, though. In the middle, Knights, longbows, moving out, cleaning up. Let's go back to that fight on the top as the Knights get caught, but they sneak away. This game is so action-packed. There's action everywhere. I'm excited to see where this goes. Map control kind of split down the middle. We have Corvinus able to push and grab 2 sacred sites. I mean, he hasn't taken them, but he's able to take their timer down already, and now possibly take down the 2nd sacred site. Those Knights gonna get pushed back. Fight going up in the middle. Sofa just trying to get some raids in, it looks like. Pulling back to the keep to fight under the Fort of the Huntress, which is what Wam has gone up with for the Imperial Age. Why don't we go ahead? Oh my gosh, here we go. Big fight coming in. We got Elite Donsos, Veteran Sofa, waiting on that Sofa upgrade now. Should be coming in soon, I suspect. Javelin throwers also still Veteran. Normal crossbows coming out for England. Probably going to see that crossbow upgrade as well, but England still macroing up to the Imperial Age, though he's trying to catch up. Not too hard for England to get back into this, I should think. They've got the front line of Knights. They've got longbows they can kite with. Here comes a big fight on the middle, going for the pit mine, trying to shut down the passive income for Wam. Jigglypuff pulls that back. Too many Donsos for the Elite Knights. These archers don't fire into the Donsos. Okay, there they go. Picks off a couple, but he's overkilling some of the Donsos here. Does get a few extra little kills in at the end. Gonna push that back. The Knights charge into braced Donsos. He's gonna lose 2, 3, 4 Knights here. Pushing in. Wam is holding the 2 of them alone here. A little bit of action on the bottom side, but nothing too significant. Pit mine gonna go down to the Knights. Wam just seeing that there's a little too much for him to fight this. Sofa upgrade coming through. Javelin thrower still sitting on that Veteran, but I suspect we'll see their upgrade very soon. Bombard going into the center keep that's keeping that map control for HRE. Another keep coming up. Rams coming to deal with the Fort of the Huntress, but it's not going to be enough with all these Donsos. They're going to clean that up really easily. There goes the Rams. Bombard coming up. All is well for HRE. Is he going to use that to snipe Wam's Bombard? Force it back? No, he goes for the Fort of the Huntress. Men-at-Arms now with the maces, all of their upgrades except for the melee attack, it would seem. Or sorry, melee defense. No, and here comes the big fight in the middle. Longbows coming to support. Men-at-Arms, Knights. Corvinus, it looks to be pushing on the other side, maybe going for a raid against England, but the fight that could really turn this game one way or another right here in the middle. Not enough England in England's base. I'm going to take a quick little peek. We've got Fire Lancers in England's base. Corvinus going to go for some vills, going to go for some landmarks. Let's go back to the fight up here. Those Fire Lancers going to be cleaning stuff up in England's base. Going to be taking a lot of damage from the English defenses, from the TC, but I think that might be a little too much for England to deal with. They're going to have to pull back and clean that up. Watch as the English player runs back. HRE chasing into Wam's army. Fort of the Huntress going down to Men-at-Arms and Rams. Wam in trouble here while Corvinus pushes into Big Man John's base. Will we see a little bit of a base trade here? One of those classic team game base trades? Maybe not, as we see Veteran Musafati coming to counter the Men-at-Arms and the Knights. It's a good choice here. Just deal a little bit of extra damage. Maybe grab that upgrade, get those Imperial Musafati to fight against this unrelenting HRE late game printer, as they say. Big fight. He's got 15 villagers trying to clean up these Rams, but there's just too much HRE here as the HRE pushes him back. HRE putting a lot of pressure. He's going to have to fall back into his base now. As he does so, as the burning of the walls is going to start for HRE, let's see how Wam's doing. He's just destroying, or Corvinus is destroying everything in Big Man John's base. Oh my gosh, so much action here. Fire Lancers cleaning up all of Big Man John's farms. That's going to be so annoying to replace. Fire Lancers in HRE's base as well. Cleaning up vills, going for farms. Corvinus all over the place with that Fire Lancer transition. With both of the armies kind of pushing into. Okay, here comes some longbows to try to clean up those fire lancers. This is probably not enough for now. Big Wololo. No, he catches it just in time. A little close there. And HRE pushes into Wam's base. He's got the elite Musafati now. Not sitting on too many upgrades. He's been fighting non-stop here. But that should be okay against the heavy armored units. He does pierce this armor. How well will he hold? A lot of low health Musafati here. He's gonna have to pull back. Is HRE loses a good chunk of knights, loses a good chunk of men-at-arms. They're able, though, to push farther in. Wam pulling back to his reinforcements. Cleans up a little bit of this, but just not gonna have enough. Corvinus' attack seems to be dying out in the HRE base, but Big Man John still under a lot of pressure, and you can see this stream on the way. More Fire Lancers coming into the English base. He's gonna start going for landmarks. He's gonna start clearing houses. This is the food for Big Man John, clearly struggling under all of this pressure. Let's look at Wam's base. He's holding. We have a base trade going on here as Wam's base goes down in exchange for Big Man John's base. Lots of kills going in. HRE everywhere with these heavy units. The villagers trying to take down these rams to keep some stuff alive. Is there enough elite Musafati here to clean this up? Still not a lot. There's so much HRE. They're gonna kill a ton of villagers. Villagers going down on both sides of the map. I'm thinking that what's gonna happen here is we've got Fire Lancers clearing landmarks. I think once he's cleaned up, yeah, landmark down here. The Big Man John about to lose all 4 of his landmarks, which means the only landmarks left are going to be in HRE's base. Meanwhile, landmarks going down for Wam as well up here in his base. He doesn't lose the Grand Filani Corral yet. He's still got some landmarks to deal with. He's still got the Montecore, but the landmark TC going down. The Fort of the Huntress already down. Here comes some reinforcements from Corvinus, though. Corvinus has some good chunk of units. Wam able to fight on the top. Corvinus cleaning this up. No. Guns, the handguns, huge for China here. Extra range with the chemistry already researched for China. Gonna clean up a lot of these HRE units. Look at the damage on these guys. 35 plus 7 for these Chinese handgunners. Cleaning this up. He's got Big Man John's base. Units gathering outside of Jigglypuff's base. More units cleaning up these HRE units. It looks like HRE's getting fully cleaned up in this base. Jigglypuff's gonna have to defend with the longbows in his base. Let's see how this ends here as, yeah, okay, go ahead, clean this up with the handgunners. Not a whole lot Jigglypuff can do as we look back to his base. Fully under attack from the Fire Lancers, but there's gonna be too much here for Corvinus, so we've gotten just a bit of a base trade, but I would say Wam's base looking a little bit better, looking like he has a little bit more in terms of eco. Big Man John, though, getting those farms back up, has food, has his resources, staying alive here. We've got villagers getting chased down in the base of the HRE player. More Fire Lancers coming in on the front side. What's coming on up here? Chinese villagers keeping up the outside of HRE's base. This is so chaotic. There's just damage everywhere. Rams coming to clear the the castles, the keeps. The keeps going to clean up those knights. Meanwhile, more Fire Lancers on the way. How many Fire Lancers have we had this game? So many Fire Lancers coming in for Corvinus just to clean all this up. Tons of villagers working out with this fight, using the keeps, burning the rams. More Fire Lancers coming to interrupt these men-at-arms. I think Fire Lancers should be a pretty good counter to the men-at-arms here. They don't have heavy armor. They basically fight like horsemen would against these heavy armor damaging men-at-arms for HRE. Bombards coming in for Corvinus. I think Corvinus has so much strength here behind that 3 TC, behind all those farms coming out. Another keep gonna go down for Corvinus. I don't think he'll be able to interrupt these rams as they take that keep down. Maybe as more Fire Lancers come in the back. No, he's not going to be able to save it. Keep going down. Keep goes down. Units fighting. More keeps going down. Double. All of these rams coming out for Jigglypuff. We have Jigglypuff fighting. We have the English reinforcements trying to support. But we don't have elite upgrades on the English player. He's sitting on normal crossbowmen, veteran longbowmen against elite fire lancers, against the elite Mali units that'll be coming on the back of this. Though it does look like Wam's still working to recover, rebuild his eco behind this immense pressure put on by Corvinus here. Corvinus, these handgunners just mowing down the heavy units of the HRE player. So many kills just popping off with the handguns, bombards. The longbow's gonna be fairly effective against the handgunners, but again, he's sitting on veteran. He could be doing so much more damage, sitting on so much more health with those elite upgrades that got interrupted by the raids from Corvinus, by the full-on push and destruction of the base from those Fire Lancers. Full handgunner bombard transition for Corvinus. We have the Palace Guard coming in as well. Still seeing Fire Lancers to come in, destroy the buildings, raid those villagers, put that damage on with the charges. Definitely going for the towers, for other buildings. Handgunners cleaning up these men-at-arms. Not enough English, and that's just not going to be enough. They know they don't have enough to stop that. And Corvinus going to carry that game home with all the handgunners, Fire Lancers. Huge raids on Big Man John while Wam was under attack. Thanks all for being here. I'm Sir Penguin. I hope you had a good time. More team games on the way. Thanks all, and have a good day.